A mini fridge seems very simple until you buy the wrong one, and then suddenly it's too small, too loud, or not actually keeping your drinks as cold as you expect. And that's usually when you realize there is a very big difference between something that just looks good online and something that actually works well day to day. So today, I'm going to break down the best mini fridges you can buy right now, whether you need something compact for your desk, something that adds a little bit of style to your room, or something big enough to handle drinks, snacks, and even frozen items. I'm going to walk you through the options that make the most sense so you can choose the right one without second guessing it later. So let's start with the AstroAI mini fridge, which is great for desks, and this one usually comes in at around $36 to $56 depending on the color and where you buy it. Now, what makes this one stand out is just how easy it is to live with. It's small enough to sit right on your desk without taking over the space, but it still gives you a 4-liter capacity, which does work out to about 6 cans of soda or whatever other drink you want. So you're not just squeezing in one drink and calling it a day, you actually have room for a couple of drinks and a snack or two. And one of the biggest advantages here is the thermoelectric cooling system. So instead of using a traditional compressor that just kicks on and off, this one runs quietly in the background. So you can just have it sitting next to you while you work, take calls, or study, and it's not going to become one of those things that you constantly notice. And it's a huge plus, especially in quieter environments. It's also very lightweight, so if you do decide that you want it in your bedroom instead of your office, or even in your car for a road trip, it is simple to move around. You're not committing it to one permanent spot, and visually, it has that clean, modern look that blends in just about anywhere. So if what you're really after is something compact, portable, and genuinely quiet, especially at this price point, it's one of the easiest desk-friendly options to recommend. Next up is the Midea compact refrigerator, which is a great budget-friendly option for a bigger fridge. And this one usually runs between $100 and $270 depending on the finish and current sales. Now, this is where things start to feel more like a real fridge at 1.6 cubic feet. It's still compact enough for a dorm room, office, or a small apartment corner, but you immediately notice the extra breathing room inside. You're not playing refrigerator Tetris every time you add a bottle. And one cool feature is the adjustable thermostat. Being able to control how cold you want it makes a big difference. Whether you're storing drinks, leftovers, or some groceries, you can fine-tune it instead of just hoping that the default setting works. It's also designed to be very energy efficient, so you're not getting that crazy electric bill. And the reversible door is one of those small details that just ends up being surprisingly helpful. If you're sliding this into a tight space or a corner, you can just flip the door to open whichever direction makes the most sense. Now inside, you do get adjustable shelves, which makes fitting taller bottles much easier, and there's a small freezer compartment up top that works well for ice trays or a couple of frozen meals. It's not oversized, but it does exactly what most people need it to do. Now in real-world use, you can fit like a half gallon of milk or a 2-liter bottle of soda, 5 cans of soda, some fruits and vegetables, and you're still going to have a little bit of room left. So if you do want something affordable that still feels like a proper fridge, not just a cooler with a plug, this one is easily one of the best values in its size range. All right, moving on to the Upstream mini fridge, which is a great single door option. And this one usually comes in around $120 to $190 depending on color and availability. And this is where you start getting into that sweet spot between compact and spacious. At 3.2 cubic feet, it gives you enough room to actually stock it properly. Drinks, snacks, leftovers, and even a few frozen items can all fit without you having to shuffle things around every time you open the door. And what I really like about this model is how intuitive the layout feels. The adjustable shelves makes it easy to accommodate taller bottles or bulkier containers, and nothing feels cramped or awkward to reach. It's the kind of fridge where everything has its place. There's also a built-in freezer compartment, which does work well for ice trays, frozen meals, or a couple small frozen items. It's not oversized, but it's more than just a cooling shelf. It actually does the job that you need it to. Now, the thermostat is adjustable, so you can fine-tune the temperature depending on what you're storing. And even though this one offers more capacity than the smaller models, it still is very quiet and stays energy efficient. Perfect if you are placing it in a bedroom, a dorm room, or a home office where constant noise is going to be annoying. All right, next up is the Frigidaire compact fridge, which is a perfect retro single door option. And this one typically runs between $120 and $160, depending on the color and the finish you choose. Now, this is the kind of fridge you buy because you want it to look good every single day. It has that classic retro vibe with smooth rounded edges and chrome accents, and it instantly adds character to a space without feeling over the top. And at 1.6 cubic feet, it is compact enough for a dorm room, a bedroom corner, or even under a desk setup. So you're getting style without giving up practicality. And one of the little touches that I really like is the built-in bottle opener on the side. It's small, but it adds to that vintage charm and actually ends up being useful. Inside, there is a small chiller compartment, and it works well for ice trays or frozen treats. It's simple, very straightforward, and easy to clean, which makes it low maintenance overall. And because of its size, you can reposition it without much effort if you do decide to rearrange the room later. So if you do want something that just feels more like a design piece than just another appliance, but still handles everyday drinks and snacks without a problem, it's one of the best retro single door options that you're gonna find. All right, next up, the Midea mini fridge, which is one of the best double door options. And this one usually falls between $190 and $270, depending on the finish and the current promotions. Now, this is where things start to feel much more like a full-size refrigerator, just scaled down to fit smaller spaces, with 3.1 cubic feet of total storage and a completely separate freezer compartment on top. You're no longer trying to share one tiny cooling space for everything. Frozen meals and ice stay properly frozen up top, while drinks and fresh food stay perfectly chilled below. And of course, that separation really does make a difference. You're not dealing with partially frozen drinks or slightly thawed ice cream. Everything has its own dedicated space, which just makes everything smoother. So inside, you do get adjustable glass shelves that feel a little more premium compared to like standard wire racks. They're easy to reposition depending on what you're storing. There's also a crisper drawer at the bottom, which helps keep fruits and veggies fresher longer instead of just tossing them on a shelf and hoping for the best. Now, even with the added capacity in a true freezer section, it still does run quiet and remain energy efficient. And that's important if this is going in a dorm room, a bedroom, or a small apartment where constant noise would become noticeable. And design-wise, it does keep things very simple and modern. Nothing flashy, it's just clean lines that blend in easily with just about any setup. So if you do want a real fridge and freezer separation without stepping up to a full-sized refrigerator, this one's easily one of the strongest compact double door options in this price range. All right, finally, we have the Frigidaire retro double door model, and this one typically lands between $200 and $280 depending on the color and where you pick it up from. Now, this is for anyone who loves that vintage look but doesn't want to compromise on real functionality. You're getting the same smooth curves and chrome details that make retro fridges so appealing, but with the fridge and freezer separation built in. And at 3.1 cubic feet, it gives you enough room to actually stock it for everyday use. Drinks and snacks fit comfortably in the main section, while the top freezer keeps ice cream, frozen meals, and ice trays fully frozen instead of just chilled. And that separate freezer door makes organization much easier. Everything has its own place and nothing gets in the way of anything else. So inside, you do get adjustable shelves so you can rearrange things as needed, plus a crisper drawer for fruits and veggies. And just like the single door retro version, there's even a built-in bottle opener on the side, which again adds to that classic feel while it's still being useful. And even with the upgraded layout in the freezer section, it still is very quiet and stays efficient. So you're not really trading performance for style. So if you do want a fridge that feels nostalgic on the outside but functions like a modern appliance on the inside, easily one of the strongest retro double door options in this space. So when it comes down to it, choosing the right mini fridge really isn't about finding the best one overall. It's about finding the one that fits how you're actually going to use it. If you want something small, quiet, and easy to keep right on your desk, the AstroAI is the simplest and most convenient choice. If you're trying to stretch your budget but still want something that feels like a real refrigerator, the Midea compact refrigerator gives you that extra space and flexibility without spending too much. And if you care just as much about how it looks as to how it works, the retro model from Frigidaire gives you that vintage personality while still delivering solid performance. So once you know what matters most to you, the decision really does become a lot easier. And as always, if you did see something you liked, I'll leave links to all of the mini fridges mentioned down in the description so you can check pricing and availability for yourself. Hopefully you found this guide helpful. And if you did, please leave a thumbs up, as I always appreciate that. And if you have any questions about any of these models, feel free to leave them down in the comments below, as I always enjoy getting to answer as many of those as I can. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.